My name is Regina Butler, retired pastor, doctor's assistant. I scheduled the doctor's cases, make sure they had all the equipment that was needed to be done for that surgery, correct information on the patient, preparing the time and the date, making sure that everything was in order to perform certain surgery on certain days. College, 2-year college. Yes, I did. That close to training school. Secretarial. Learning how to prepare things in the operating room to help assist the doctors. Yes, they wanted trained personnel, not nobody that didn't know what they was doing. 26 years in one of the major hospital operating rooms. Background history, educational history, job experience. Yes, it was. A young African American did not have the same opportunity as a white person, because I don't care if it was you had the background degree, you had the college experience, you had the experience of working in a hospital. Back then, they didn't care. So you had to fight your way and prove yourself that you could do the job. Yes, having a supervisor that didn't like for a lady of my color to know more than she did. I was told sometimes it's just best just to be quiet and let things flow the way it is, and I'd be accused of it. But I refused and showed her I knew my job better than she did. Women's, yes, women still didn't have the opportunity that they have today, no matter what. It was always really, you had to fight against your color as well as a man that still could not do the job and was not prepared equally to do the job as well as you could. Also, unequal pay. Yes, it's quite a few of them. Most of them had just became supervisors because at that time they refused to go outside the hospital to hire a trained professional person. They just hired somebody that was already there. Didn't know the job, so they became your supervisor. There were more male doctors than it was females. And the females at that time, doctors, was given a hard time by the male doctors because they feel that it still was a man world. I have seen some professional doctors that are women that stood their ground, but they still had to fight harder to prove themselves. Right, not a doctor's role. But we didn't have many women doctors. We had a few, not that many. They figured the role of a woman should be an RN or LPN. There were some doctors I had a very good relationship with. They respected me and I respected them. There was some that I had to uh, prove that I know who I was. I knew my job, and I demanded it. Demand that give me the respect that I deserve, and I received it. No, it was all strictly professional. I were then, and I still am, a married woman. So I didn't need any close contact with anybody. I was hired to do a job, and that's what I did. We applied for this. We applied at the same hospital to do a job, and we didn't find out till the personnel people called the house, and I had came from school, and my mama asked me, "Why would a person that work in housekeeping have to know how to type?" And I said, "Why you asking?" And she told me she went and put in the application. And at that time, I had put in the application. So, but about us being with the same name, we had to call back to see which one they was talking about. And it was me and not my mother. So, he was a supervisor at Broke the Field Complex. Yes, it was. But since my mother stayed sick, I put in more time of helping make sure that my mother was fine and helping her take care of the rest of the family. So I kind of slowed up on what I really wanted to be. My cousin became an RN. She was in New York City. And she was making a way for me to come there to live with her and to be trained in at a nursing school there to become an RN. But it didn't work out because still my mother was sick and I stayed to take care of my mama. Yes, I do because she was one that was determined that she can do anything she wanted to do, and she wanted to make sure that other family members, the one that was succeeding, she wanted to make sure that we can do the same thing. It's like encourage me, I can do it, so I encourage you, and she was very encouraging. Um, she has died from the COVID-19. She worked in retail. She really wanted to own her own boutique, but she rather tried nursing, and she was very pleased at the success that she did by working in one of the major health centers and then going to private practice. Compare back in later years, the market was very cheap. Any young adult could afford a home in the 70s. Today, it is impossible hardly for anybody to because of the APR and the market value for anybody kind of control to get a house. Loss of income, sickness, divorces, it's a lot of things that hinder people today from getting a nice home. And there's more apartments being built, so a lot of people are choosing to stay in apartments than to get a house. True. No, I'm not. Simply because when you're getting preparing yourself to retire, it's where your money is. And a lot of times, when they're explaining things to you, the monthly payment you will receive, or how you're going to receive it, it's not the same as when you actually get it. I had to understand that when I would start receiving my retirement, it was not what I expected. I expected a lot more, but they seem to dish it out like they want to dish it out to you. Well, To me, I think Social Security is what people earn, what they put in. People expect to get what they put in to get it back, not for the state to take it upon themselves and spend their money, which they invest our money into stuff that we don't give them approval of or ask us. But you want to dish out to us monthly what you think that we need. Also, Social Security is based on how much each individual has put into their Social Security. It shouldn't be taxed because I believe we paid the tax on our money while we was earning it to put into Social Security for retirement. We pay taxes if they don't pay taxes. And I think everybody that earn any kind of money, any kind of income, should pay their fair share of taxes. Those that have it keep getting richer, and the ones that don't pay for their mistakes, which is not fair to us. Our country is like that. They got the money, they dish out to us, they dictate to us what they tell us to do, they don't do. But they think they are doing it fair. That's why I say with Republican and Democratic, the people too of our two political parties need to understand when the people have spoken, they have spoken. You are to go by what the people have said, not what they think, to determine trying to figure out what we say. If we say we want liberty or we want this or we want this, just like voting. When we vote, why are we having such a hassle now? Because one man in 4 years almost destroyed America. I don't see no entertainment value. I see stupidity. Policies that we have, when I was a child, should have been replaced to an updated policy. Our children are learning how to be virtual or how to do things at the last minute, which they can't handle it. I agree, but I still say it's gonna take a human being to actually contain the machine. Let the machine start thinking for itself. I don't know about that. I'm not gonna say will I be here or not. I think we look at a lot of science fictions, and if you look at science fiction, that somebody is doing something like this, similar. So I would say, yeah, that they would be able to think for themselves. That's why I say they talking about there's no aliens. There are. I believe there are, because people in different continents can't see the same creature or describe this creature that they see in the same way, and they holler and say, no, it's not. I believe God created a lot of things, and He said in the last day we're going to see things we never saw before. Different people on different continents have said they seen, would describe what they saw. Over here would describe what they saw, and when you look at it, they saw the same thing. There are different things that cannot be explained to us right now. Oh, I believe maybe the rover did capture something man still don't want us to see. So it's a lot of questions we could still ask about what is actually going on and not going on. Mm, I say to some point. Because I don't just believe that scientists are creating everything and life expecting is going on as long as it is. No, I do not agree with that. Because like I said, I'm a believer in God, and I don't care what scientists come up with. If God don't give them that wisdom to do it, they won't do it. And scientists on their side would say, well, you trust in a God that you cannot see. Well, that's true. So we both have to prove what we believe in. And a lot of them don't believe in no true God either, okay? They believe in what they think. I'm talking about the God that created this world. not the one that. And in the God I serve, there is no denomination. So Orthodox, Baptist, Catholics, or whatever you want to call it. But I think they really need to retire and let the younger generation take over. In my lifetime, I would like to see a young president, take over in the White House. The younger people need to be taught to learn to take what they have learned to rule this world. But the older people are not giving it up. And we see that from president to statesmen to congressmen. You got some doctors, they ain't gonna quit till they're almost dead. Rape. I was raped in my childhood at a very young age by babysitters. So with some of my brothers by the same babysitter. And the only way I stopped that is when my mom and dad would go out, I would tell them I was old enough to watch over my brothers and sisters. And they tried me, and I did, to not understanding and realizing it was the babysitter that was causing the problem. And when I got tired of it, I confronted the babysitter. No, this was over with. To me, to rape a child, take away a child innocent, and you sit in their parents' face and call yourself a family friend, should not keep me going on. So, I decided to fight back. As years grew older, that stayed on my mind because it took me a long time to tell my husband that I was raped. But he was very understanding when I told him. I saw the perpetrator one day, and I really wanted to hurt her. But I realized in order for me to move on and have a happy life, I had to forgive her for what she did to me. And a lot of times, that is still a hard experience for somebody to be raped to go through. And because it makes you feel shame like you asked for this. But no, we do not ask for this. Yes. Yes. Because if you're learning now, and even in history, some of the history stuff I've been listening to and reading, that was women doing that back there too. But we always figured it was what? The man. Right. They would always say, now she don't do that. But now a man, now. Then you have to take in consideration when a child is telling you it's a woman doing this, it's not a man. They don't want to believe that. The reason I didn't tell my parents, because my daddy would have taken that lady out. But I have forgiven her. And I can talk about it now and feel free because it was not my fault. But I believe I did in my heart the right thing when I told her she would never touch no more of my brothers and sisters again. I encountered her in the parking lot in front of the store. She recognized me. And I had told my husband that day, hold my purse, because I was going to beat the crap out of her. And he told me to let it go. Let it be the past. He said, you're not going to ever feel right if you keep holding on to it. And he was right. I came home and had to pray and realize she was not even worth me messing with, because it does. What you did to somebody is going to come right back to you. So if not me, it would be somebody that will let her know about her errors, which was rape. And you have no remorse. And how can you stand there and face your victim and look like you want to say I'm sorry, or you just stand there because you feel like you didn't do anything wrong? Oh, yes, you did. The younger women is to have high self-esteem of yourself. Don't fall for any stupidity. When a man approaches you and he tells you he loves you, make sure it's love and not lust. Because today, that's what's going on. It's a lot of lust and not love. There's a lot of things going. A man can sweep a woman off her feet if she's not careful and find out he don't have a pot to piss in, okay? My advice to young girls is to wake up, get your education, make your life be what you want it to be. And if you so decide to get married, you get married. If you don't want to get married, don't get married. And please don't bring no babies in this world if you're not ready to have a child or not ready to be a mother to that child. You ought to know that you are loved. You ought to know that you're gorgeous. You ought to know that you're smart without somebody trying to validate that. Because they're not trying to validate, they're trying to use you. Go for help. They have numbers now that you can actually call out. Oh, and watch your surroundings. The devil smile in your face and be stabbing you in the back. To me, I learned to listen to what folks are saying than to jump into what I think they're saying. So you have to be careful of it, a man or a woman. And I'm going to say now be more careful of a woman because she wants to be your girlfriend. The perpetrator that I had wanted me to be silent. You're threatening me. What you going to do to my mom and dad? Or they're not going to believe you because you're a child. That I took very seriously. Till I realized, hey, if the truth going to come out that, hey, you're trying to keep me quiet or this and that, it's really going to find out you the liar. You did this. We need to call for help. Tell it. If you suspect anything, tell it. Find somebody that you can talk to. So I learned as in my older age, when I feel somebody's watching me or somebody's threatening me, I let somebody else know. How would I define it? It's not sleeping with anybody, never been touched or harassed down there. I'm also like this too. If you've never been raped, just shut the hell up. Because one thing about it, if somebody take their fingers or they put a piece of fruit or they take a stick, anything they intrude into your private, it is taking your virginity. You violated. We have been violated. We don't know what's going on, especially at a young, early age, what's going on. Should she be touching me? And you know they shouldn't be touching you. I don't care if they're fingers or they got a piece of whatever they got and they take it and insert it in you. That's a violation. No, because I know my husband was not there. He was not gonna violate me. He was showing how much he loved me. I found it's a difference. Some women may say, hey, it took me a long time. My only thing I had telling my husband funny that a long time is that I was a victim of rape. Because I could have took my frustration, my anger out on him, punish him for what somebody did to me. And I don't care if it was a woman or what she had put in us, it was a violation. But I always had this in my heart that if I had children, I was going to protect my children. And that's just what I did. Because my babies, the majority of the time, stayed with me, as well as my grandchildren. Not with anybody. I trust my husband, grandmama, and she was a dog. She took care of them. She made sure they were safe. So it's either me or my husband or my grandmothers took care of our babies. And I would always talk to my children when I picked them up. I would always call on my breaks and talk to my children. Or I would take my lunch break and go check on my children. A lot of parents don't do that. Because we what? A person that has been violated is going to take every kind of necessary effort to protect their child. No matter what cost. A woman that's never been raped and trusting her friends, she's not concerned because she had never had to come up with that. That's why so much rape going on now. Because I did hear when a woman say no, she means no.